Think 99% of every creature that ever lived has been permanently deleted from history. Not lost. Not waiting to be found. Deleted. The soft tissue rotted. The bones dissolved. The chemical signature scattered into noise. The fossil record you were taught to trust is not a library. It is a survivor's diary written only by the 1% who died in the most perfect, catastrophic conditions. And then there is this. A slab of dark shale from northeastern China. 2 distinct spinal columns rising from a single body. 2 skulls. 2 sets of eyes that never blinked at the same time. This is not a newborn hydra from Greek mythology. This is Hyphalosaurus, a real animal that lived 120 million years ago. A biological error that should not have survived an hour, let alone long enough to become the oldest polycephalic fossil ever discovered. Polycephalic, a term that sounds clinical until you understand what it means. 2 thinkers in one body. A biological dual-core processor running a fatal hardware conflict. 2 brains competing for control of a single nervous system. 2 survival instincts pulling in opposite directions. The creature did not merely exist. It negotiated with itself for every breath. You assume that fossils preserve the strong, the fit, the successful. They do not. They preserve the glitches, the moments where biology collided with catastrophe in precisely the wrong configuration at precisely the right time. The 2-headed lizard drowned in a volcanic lake 120 million years ago. The sediment sealed it before decay could begin. And through tectonic shifts, ice ages, the rise of mammals, and the fall of empires, this impossible thing remained. If a 2-headed lizard can survive the crushing weight of time, what human secrets are still buried in the Siberian permafrost, waiting to rewrite everything we think we know about ourselves? The question is not rhetorical. Because these 5 fossils do not just challenge what we know about death. They challenge what we know about being alive. The Borealopelta looks like it died yesterday. It did not. It died 110 million years ago. But the fossil is so well preserved that scientists extracted original melanosomes, the organelles responsible for skin pigment, from its armored hide. Not mineral replacements. Not impressions. The actual cellular machinery that once determined the color of a living dinosaur. Red oxide primed tank plating. That is what this creature was. A 1-ton biological war machine with a reddish-pink camouflage scheme we can still detect in stone. The armor was so dense, so heavily calcified, that when the animal died and sank into a prehistoric seabed, the calcium-rich tissue resisted bacterial invasion. The ocean itself became a preservation vault. But the Borealopelta is not even the most disturbing example of soft tissue survival. In Montana, a mummified Edmontosaurus named Leonardo still contains its stomach contents. Fossilized ferns. Fossilized conifers. And inside that fossilized meal, fossilized parasites. Intestinal worms preserved mid-digestion inside the plants preserved mid-breakdown inside the dinosaur preserved mid-rot. A fossil within a fossil within a fossil. Nature's error log recording an error within an error within an error. Leonardo did not just die. Leonardo's entire digestive moment was photographed by geology. The worms that were killing it were captured alongside the food that was feeding it. Life and death, locked in the same frame for 77 million years. The fossil record can preserve skin. It can preserve stomachs. It can even preserve parasites. But there is something it captures that is far more disturbing than anatomy. It captures behavior. 47 million years ago, 2 turtles descended into a volcanic lake in what is now Germany. They were mating. They never surfaced. The Messel Pit was a tropical paradise with a secret. 10 meters below the glittering surface, the water turned toxic. Carbon dioxide accumulated in lethal concentrations, a killing zone invisible from above. The turtles sank past the threshold mid-act. Their skin, porous, permeable, designed to absorb oxygen, became a fatal intake valve. They breathed in poison while their bodies tried to breathe out waste. They died locked together. And they have remained locked together for 47 million years. 47 million years. That is 940,000 human generations. Long enough for mountain ranges to rise and erode to nothing. Long enough for continents to drift into new configurations. Long enough for the entire lineage of great apes to emerge, evolve, and build civilizations. And through all of it, through ice ages and asteroid aftershocks and the slow crawl of tectonic plates, these two turtles never let go. Death does not just preserve bodies. It preserves relationships. Consider the burrowmates. A Thrinaxodon, a mammal ancestor that survived the worst mass extinction in Earth's history, found dead beside a Brumastega, an injured amphibian. Two different species. Same burrow. Same sudden flood. Same tomb. The Thrinaxodon was in estivation, a low-power hibernation mode for surviving drought and heat. The Brumastega was nursing a broken rib. They were not predator and prey. They were cohabitants. Two survivors of different biological disasters sharing a hole in the ground when the flash flood came. The water sealed the burrow in seconds. Turned a home into a coffin. Skin. Behavior. But the fossil record has preserved something even more impossible. Something that rewrites not just paleontology, but human identity itself. What human secrets are still buried in the Siberian permafrost? This one. 90,000 years ago, a child was born to a Neanderthal mother and a Denisovan father. She is the only known first-generation hominin hybrid specimen in history. Her name is Deni. The Denisova cave in Siberia yielded over 2,000 bone fragments. Most were dismissed as unremarkable animal debris. Deni was among them, a single finger bone, catalogued and forgotten for years before genetic sequencing revealed what she was. Not Neanderthal. Not Denisovan. Both. Her mother's mitochondrial DNA came from a Neanderthal line that had been separate for 18,000 years, 600 generations of genetic isolation. Her father was Denisovan. The species were not supposed to interbreed. They occupied different regions, different climates, different ecological niches. And yet here was Deni. Proof that the species boundaries we draw are fictions of convenience. If interspecies breeding happened 90,000 years ago, it happened more than once. The statistical improbability of finding the only hybrid means there were thousands we never found. And if it happened thousands of times, it happened to your ancestors. You carry Neanderthal DNA. You carry Denisovan traces. You are not a pure species. You are a merger. A biological acquisition. A 90,000-year-old interspecies project preserved by sheer geological luck. Deni survived in the permafrost because she died in the right place. In one of the most hostile environments on Earth. The kind of place that does not just kill you. It keeps you. The Messel Lake was a trap designed by geology. On the surface, tropical warmth. Dragonflies. Ferns. A paradise that looked like safety. But beneath the water, volcanic vents released carbon dioxide in concentrations that would suffocate any oxygen-breathing creature. The gas did not rise. It pooled. It waited. And anything that swam too deep never swam back. The turtles did not know. The early horses that drowned there did not know. The bats, the crocodiles, the beetles, none of them understood that the lake was not a lake. It was a preservation chamber masquerading as an ecosystem. Consider what it takes to become a fossil. Pressure. The Borealopelta sank into a seabed and was buried under sediment so heavy that bacterial decay could not penetrate the tissue fast enough. The weight of the ocean floor mummified it before rot could begin. Temperature. Deni's bone fragments survived because the Siberian permafrost is a sub-zero vault. Water does not cycle. Oxygen does not circulate. The chemical reactions that break down organic materials simply stop. Darkness. The Thrinaxodon burrow was sealed so suddenly that no light reached the bodies. No scavengers found them. No insects laid eggs in the flesh. The darkness was not absence. It was armor. Sound. The flash flood that killed the burrowmates announced itself with a deep, hydraulic whump, the sound of water displacing air in a confined space. One moment of sound. Then silence for 250 million years. The Thrinaxodon had survived the Permian extinction, the great dying that erased 96% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrates. It outlasted the apocalypse. It adapted to a world stripped of competitors. And then it died in a puddle. The irony is not poetic. It is statistical. These fossils exist because something went catastrophically wrong at the right moment. Not because the creatures were special. Not because they deserved to be remembered. They were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the wrong place happened to be a deletion-proof zone. Volcanic gas. Flash floods. Permafrost. Calcium-rich seabeds. These are not environments. They are traps. And the fossils they produce are not records of life. They are records of failure. So these 5 fossils should not exist. They survived fire, flood, poison, and time itself. They are errors in the deletion process. But here is the question you should be asking. If these errors can survive for millions of years, what does that make you? You were taught that evolution is a ladder. It is not. It is a collision. Every fossil in this video is evidence of merger, not progression. The two-headed Hyphalosaurus was 2 developmental pathways colliding in a single embryo. The burrowmates were 2 species converging in a shared grave. The mating turtles were 2 lives frozen mid-union. Deni was 2 hominin lineages combining in a single child. The fossil record does not preserve the best specimens. It preserves the glitches, the moments where separate things became one. We think of ourselves as a distinct species. Homo sapiens. Singular. Evolved. The pinnacle of a linear process that began with single-celled organisms and climbed inevitably toward us. Deni destroys that narrative. She proves we are not a species. We are a project. A 90,000-year-old interspecies project stitched together from Neanderthal thread and Denisovan thread and Sapiens thread, a mosaic of encounters we never consented to, preserved by sheer geological luck. And now, consider the callback. The two-headed Hyphalosaurus was described as a biological dual-core processor with a fatal hardware conflict. 2 minds. 1 body. 2 survival instincts competing for control of the same nervous system. We are all, in a sense, polycephalic. Your DNA contains the instructions of multiple ancestral lineages. Neanderthal sequences that code for immune responses. Denisovan fragments that influence altitude adaptation. Sapiens architecture that holds it all together. These are not separate chapters in your genome. They are competing voices. A committee of the dead, still arguing about how you should survive. You are not one thing. You are a merger that never finished merging. The two-headed lizard died because its hardware conflict was too severe. The signals crossed. The systems failed. But you are still here, which means your conflicts reached some kind of equilibrium. Your ancestral collision stabilized into something functional. For now. The fossil record is not a museum. It is a warning label. It shows us what happens when the deletion process fails, when the glitches survive long enough to be found. And the message is not comforting. Life does not reward coherence. It rewards luck. So here is the question that the fossils leave behind. The one that has no clean answer. If your life were frozen in stone today, would you be remembered for your triumphs? Or for the way you died trying to survive a glitch? The two-headed lizard cannot answer. Neither can you.